What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're going to take a brief intermission in the Appendix Carey series to do a good old-fashioned product review. These are really hot topic of conversation right now. I do have them in my hot little hand and have spent some time with them. A lot of guys around me and everywhere are kind of intrigued by these and probably deciding if they're going to buy one. And before that Black Friday sales hit, I figured I would just give you some cogent thoughts on them and see if maybe these are for you. But in 2025, we essentially have some very based, concealed carry competition incentives out there. A little bit more, shall we say, freestyle than the other types of concealed competition that are out there. Appendix carry itself has been, if not outright illegal, certainly not socially acceptable up until very recently. And Hunter throwing these bounties at USPSA matches has sparked a lot of interest in competing from concealment, which is kind of a novel concept in that you're essentially taking a dive to go after some of this cash. But competition also is sort of the test bed for this type of thing, or where new ideas evolve from. And a lot of times they get kind of nipped off at the ground level by guys who say things like, you should compete with what you really carry. I've seen a lot of those guys shoot, and I don't think they're really in a position to give advice. But what we have recently is competition-inspired appendix holsters. Now, my Xers out there would be like, well, that's not new. What's new is that we essentially are starting to have purpose-built rigs for competition. One look at this thing, and that would look pretty purpose-built, especially that magnet there on the front. And be like, well, that's not super practical for everyday life. And, well, in the tactical world, they would never use... Oh, wait. They do. All right, so this is where it might not evolve into a rig just like this. This might not be the go-to for the Secret Service for the next 20 years, but this might inspire an evolution, and we'll get to that kind of at the end there. But a purpose-built carry rig for essentially USPSA competition, but USPSA, PCSL, and we've always been stomping everybody at IDPA, and so I'm sure it's prevalent there as well. Sorry, IDPA. I started in IDPA, so it's cool. All right, that's our joke that we have. If you've done it, then you can make jokes too. But anyway, I got two of these rigs from Carey Concealment. I got one in a 2011, one in a CZ. Those are the two platforms that he recognizes that I would be interested in doing this from, so I got one of each from him while the iron was hot. And I've been spending a lot of time with this one, the 2011 one, for obvious reasons. I have not actually like legitimately worn this one yet. It's probably something I will get to later this winter, but kind of focused on the upcoming PCSL Nationals, so I've just been focusing on getting this rig dialed in. But I suspect there's Black Friday sales coming on this kind of stuff. Certainly guys in my area are curious about these, and I'm sure people all over are kind of curious about them because I don't think there's very many of them out there yet. So what is the deal with the bounty holster? And what's different about something like this is compared to, I didn't bring any of my actual EDC rigs around here, but EDC rigs, which would be the category that most appendix rigs fall into, they're essentially designed and intended to be worn a lot and shot from very little. Really. Dry fire, sure. All that stuff, and you practice with them a little bit, but the idea is that you spend EDC gear is on you a lot, and it's probably on you more than you use it. This would be kind of the opposite. In competitive rigs, we're going to use it. We're going to use it a lot. It's going to get shot from a lot. And you probably don't have to be about with it very often. Like this rig is probably only going to get worn for a few hours at a time, maybe. And so we can sacrifice some on comfort, although I would say it's comfortable, but we can sacrifice some on comfort, some on retention and how it rides, because the priority here is that it perform and that it runs fast. We can get the gun fast, we can get the magazines fast, and it has to be set up to be able to do that consistently. We need to be able to get an aggressive draw on it consistently, repeatedly, a bunch of times. Now, I can get similar times on this than I can with my EDC rigs. The thing with my EDC rigs is it's one of those things where the more they tuck in to your body, the more it's harder to get your thumb wrapped behind them, and cover garments start coming with it. If you're going to do a lot of reps on those rigs, it kind of turns into a garment shuffle to kind of manage all that together, where this is more intended, like you put it on, and as long as you make some smart garment choices, it's kind of there and it's set. All right, so I need to be able to get a good aggressive draw on this, not necessarily worried about printing. And those two things are, generally speaking, contrary to each other, because the more that this tucks in against your body, the tighter it is against your body, the harder it is to get your thumb behind it when you get a good firing grip. So we want this to be concealed, yes, per the rules, but we also kind of want the butt sticking out a little bit so that it's easy for us to grab. All right, so we want this to position the gun so that we can get a good consistent grab on it, because we're prioritizing a consistent draw over not printing while we're in line for Sarah McLachlan tickets or whatever you're into. So we need to have a good draw, and then we have to carry more ammo, because in EDC world, a lot of times I'm going to carry a spare mag, just in cases kind of thing. And probably, the likelihood of using your EDC gun is very, very low. I don't know, I think the recorded number of instances of private citizens doing a reload in a defensive shooting, I believe it's 0, although 0 is almost too finite of a number to be true, but like it's a near 0 factor of civilians needing to reload their gun in a self-defense situation. But we carry the mags, and we kind of stow them, and they have to be along for the ride and be comfortable. In a competition setting, we don't just maybe need one, we probably need at least 2, all right? And we're going to be grabbing them, all right? So in a USPSA course, any medium or long course, you're at least loading 1 time, all right? And in a short course, if it's a standards exercise, you may be forced to reload 2 times, all right, on the clock, and that's not even having an oh shit mag in case you mess it up. So we needed to be able to carry more ammo than the average EDC person would to compete in a match with this rig that's similar to what we wear. And we need to probably access this ammunition a little bit more consistently, a little bit more urgently. And so that's where this rig came into being. So on the holster side of the things, one of the things that I mean, at first glance, it's just a Kydex holster. One of the things I would say that stands out of all the Kydex holsters I have had over the years, Kydex and leather holsters over the years, the Carey Concealment ones, the custom fit, he's very anal about it fitting properly. He's put out a lot of videos about how stuff is fit and things like that. And one of the things that I noticed in the short time that I was watching, because I had an interest in this, is on the 2011 side, in 2025, 2011s and wide body 1911s, a 1911 is not a 1911. A 2011 is not a 2011. A wide body Browning based gun is not a Browning based gun. They're all to the point now where, where 10 years ago, a lot of the guns were based on STI frames, or for you kids, that would be the precursor to staccato. But they were all based on STI frames, or built on STI frames, or knockoffs of STI frames. Now, enough people have put their own spin on them, and Atlas would be one of them. Atlas does their own frames now. They have their own dimension, that these all fit just a little bit different. And according to Carey at Carey Concealment, or Weston, I believe his name's Weston, but according to him, most generic fit wide body 1911 holsters are based off of Prodigy, which is kind of a one size fits most of the time. But in making custom equipment, he wants a better fit than that. So he makes these, a 2011 fit is not just a 2011 fit. There are several different fits for different manufacturers. And I actually, if this isn't the first one, this is one of the first ones for Atlas. I had to wait a little bit because he was just finishing the Atlas mold. But as far as a good, I wouldn't even say good, I would say great fit for how it slides in there like it was made. I have a lot of nice leather, like good leather, feels like it's made for the gun and it just fits in there. This one, it fits in there just, it's amazing. I think this is the best attention to detail fit of a Kydex holster to a 2011, specifically an Atlas 2011, that I've ever felt. So I would say it's worth your consideration just on attention to detail in the fit of the holster itself. How tight or how precise of a fit is it? Well, this is a modern production Atlas pistol. Here is a V1 Atlas pistol. This is before Atlas was making their own frames. All right, so they were sourcing essentially different components at this time. This pistol doesn't fit as good. All right, I could force it in there. I could absolutely force it in there. I could probably adjust the screws so that it could fit in there. I don't want to though. Ow! Watch me rip my thumb open on camera. That really hurt. But essentially, I could make it fit in there. But I don't want to. It fits the gun it's supposed to fit, an Artemis, correctly and really nicely. And so that just shows you that even same manufacturer, just different eras of manufacture, they fit very differently. All right, because these frames, I'm not gonna rip my thumb open again. These frames are made to different dimensions, subtly so, because everyone kind of wants their own style. But on the drop-down menus, if you don't see the one that you're specifically buying the gun for, get in touch with him, ask him which one he recommends, or if he is going to make one specifically for that gun. And that's what I did. He had a bunch of different 2011s, and I was like, which one do you recommend for Atlas? And he said, none of those. I'm making one for Atlas. If you give me a minute, I will make one for you. And that's what he did. So the fit on the holster itself, chef's kiss. The next big thing on here was, how do we carry more ammunition? Which you can string however many mag pouches you want in there. What I thought was unique about this one is it gave me a way to carry bullets out. So this landed a bit more in an orientation like I would have a competition rig. Normally, when the bullets, when the magazines lay flat like they would in a concealment rig, you have the same challenge that you have with grabbing the pistol off the draw, and that you kind of have to get your hand behind this thing and pull it out. Sometimes you get some shirt with it. You're already fighting with shirt on the one side. You don't need to fight with shirt on the other side. So I was really intrigued by the idea of bullets out for concealed carry holster, and I really like that. If you're competing from concealment, the bullets out orientation, the mag carrier is why I bought this thing. I have lots of good Appendix holsters. The mag carrier is why I bought this thing, and then this whole framework that it sits on. So the mag pouch itself is 3D printed, and I probably feel about 3D printing the way Generation X felt about anything made out of plastic. I am immediately sus of anything 3D printed, but there's good 3D printing, and then there's bad 3D printing, and there's cheap 3D printing. I think he did a pretty good job. And it certainly does the task, because we're not trying to hold a mag in there while we roll around on the jiu-jitsu mat. All right, we just need the magazines to stay there for a stage, not move around during the stage. But when we draw them, they come loose freely pretty quickly. These do that. Now, a key component of the magazines working in this mag pouch is that your body is kind of holding them in there. I would say, to get an idea what it feels like, if you ever seen an old cop movie when they take guns from the bad guy and they just kind of stuff it in their waistband, or in a cowboy movie when they take the gun and they just kind of stuff it in their waistband, that's pretty much how that mag feels when it's in there. You're just kind of it's just kind of holding it there inside your waistband. It's kind of a suggestion that it stays there. It's not. I don't for one second think that I would just use this on a daily basis as my EDC rig. Now, if I was at a match and I put it on in the morning to go to the match, yeah, yes, I could absolutely EDC this. But I'm not. I don't know that this particular mag pouch is the way for the rest of forever on how to carry a spare magazine in a sidecar rig. But for competition, it's good because it holds it bullets out. It's got a very light retention on it. Your body is holding it or helping hold it there in place, and it's very accessible. It's very accessible, and you get two of them. All right, so in most of the divisions that most people want to shoot now, that is enough ammo to shoot pretty much any pistol stage that you're going to shoot. Unless you're shooting a low cap division like I like to do, then you might need more. But for carry optics, limited optics, open, limited, that's plenty of ammo for any USPSA stage. So they're held in there. They don't come out when they're not supposed to, but they're not held in there by much. A lot of times, like if you were to just do your everyday, you're going to the Maverick for a Slurpee or whatever, getting in and out of cars, it would be easy for the mags to get kind of twisted like this. They don't fall out, but they're kind of not necessarily where they're supposed to be. Whereas if you're just staging this all for a match, this is the perfect amount of retention. He also prefabs in here. I had it. There's little spacers in here. You can essentially adjust how deep the magazine goes in here. And so what I have elected to do is I have number 1 magazine riding high. I completely pulled the spacer out so that magazine number 2 rides a bit lower, so that as I've indexed with my hand, number 1 mag sits a little bit prouder above my waistline or above my belt line for me to grab it. And then this one doesn't sit so low that it's hard to grab, but it's tucked down a little bit more. I grab this one first, and I grab this one second when it's out of the way. So that's how I elected to do this. But the mag pouch for competition settings, the mag pouch is the move. 3D printed kind of index point with a little bit of magnet assist, and it's pretty good. That's probably the number 1 reason I bought it for competition. Here's the CZ one. It's very similar. I don't think it's the same, but you can see it kind of holds a third of it, and then there's 2 magnets in there that essentially hold it in place. So that's the CZ version. Again, CZ fit on the actual holster. Very nice. Other than that, these are identical rigs. I optioned them the same way. So the mag pouch is what you're buying here. Works very well for competition, and I think it would inspire some EDC accessories if you really want bullets out orientation. I don't know that this would be it. And even if you wanted an EDC rig for your daily, Carey Concealment they have completely different rigs for that, and they orient the mag like everybody else does, with a skinnier profile so it rides against your body. But for bounty, we need more mags. We want them bullets out so we can grab them, because we're more concerned about grabbing them quick, grabbing them consistent than we are in, again, hiding them from Karens at Walmart. The magnet on the front there, that is a competition thing. Again, this is kind of intended to use in matches that are not specifically catering to concealed carry. All right, so this year, Factory Gun Nationals, right? There's a big bounty at Factory Gun Nationals. Well, and I said Factory Gun, I meant Race Gun, but they both had them. Race Gun Nationals specifically had an unloaded start stage with all your mags on the barrel. All right, so that's a kind of a thing where you're going to encounter this in a match. It's not intended to be a concealed carry challenge. It's meant to be a pain in the ass for normal competitors with regular rigs. And now you have a concealment rig, so that's times 2 or 3. But you got to have all your mags staged somewhere, and then you have the classic question of how many do I grab, and then how well am I going to stow them? So a way this could be done is you grab one for the gun, you stick one on your magnet, and away you go. That's really what the magnet's for. Once you have a magnet on your belt, though, gosh, it's kind of handy for a lot of things, like when you unload and show clear. You know, it's easy to everything at a shooting match pretty much is metal except the Glock frame. So it's handy for a lot of things, and as I showed you earlier, this kind of thing finds its way into the tactical market. So here's a tactical pouch. This one's made by ESS. All right, I've had these ESS pouches for years. Like, oh, hey, that would be a cool idea if we just put a magnet on the front of them. That might be handy. All right, so this is where some of those kinds of ideas get test bedded and shaken down. So in the match, magnets are a handy thing to have, and once people decide that magnets are kind of a handy thing to have, then they kind of think of ways to have magnets around more. It might not be one this big, it might not be this powerful, but having a magnet on your waistline, sometimes that's handy. The other really cool thing about this, especially that makes it a competition specific holster, is the adjustability. So I'm not sure what he calls this backbone apparatus here that holds the two pouches together, but this is kind of what makes it all come together into a cogent rig. It is polymer. When I looked at it on the website, it almost looks like it's made out of aluminum or steel or something. It's actually polymer. It has a lot more flex to it than you would think, just looking at the pictures of it. So I think it works really well. And then you have a ton of adjustability. How much adjustability, or how important is adjustability? Well, I don't think any component on this rig except maybe that spacer is in the original position that it came in when it arrived to me. Now, I'm not sure how consistently they assemble these all together, or if they just kind of put them together and assume you're going to figure it out. But I have moved everything. I have put the holster in a completely different position. I have adjusted the cant. I have moved the belt clips. I have adjusted the camming bar. I've completely repositioned the mag pouch and rotated it. So Appendix is a very personal fit type position. Like, we're all built a little bit different up there. We all going to want something a little bit different. This has the adjustability, and the reason I can't or don't want to use some other Appendix rigs for competition is it doesn't necessarily put the gun in an advantageous place to grab it. So for competition, I want a couple things. I want the angle of the gun so that when my hand falls on it, my wrist is straight, like I would with any holster. I want my hand to fall on there and my wrist to be straight for when I pull it out. So good firing grip and I pull it straight out, which means I need some amount of cant. So I'm actually rocked a little bit this way to meet my wrist in the middle there on how it wants to meet the pistol. And then the same thing with the magazines. A lot of like the old school, like the Haley strategic ones, they had the magazines straight up and down. Well, I don't want to grab it like this. Right? I positioned it so that when my hand comes down, I have a straight wrist and I just pull it out, or as straight as possible. But it's a little bit more neutral wrist. So it's canted at my belt line, but it's neutral at the wrist for me to pull it out. And that's what I'm going for. And that's what you want to go for. You want to kind of play around with these things so that it's at an angle that when you come to your waistline to pull it out, your wrist is at a straight angle. And then also, I position it so that it sits high enough above my belt, the pistol does. So there is enough gap. There's enough gap here for my fingers, excuse me, for my fingers to get between the grip and my belt line, all right? So I have enough clearance that I can grab it. A concealment rig might hedge this a little bit closer to the belt line. It's a little bit easier to tuck in that way, but that makes the draw a little bit more challenging. So ability to angle these at a comfortable position that my wrist falls on them straight, and then they're sitting high enough above my waistline that I can grab them quickly. That is what this rig does well. So if you're looking for a purpose-built competition bounty type rig, if you're going for some of this Hunter Constantine money, or if you're just intrigued by competing from concealment, I think tons of dudes locally here, we're entering our indoor season here, so where we do wonky stuff like that. I think there's going to be a lot of concealed competition this year. So if you're looking to do concealed competition on kind of a regular basis, you might want to pick one of these up for your primary match squeeze to have as enjoyable of an experience as possible in doing all that. But I would highly recommend, if you're looking at doing some concealed competition, check out these Carey concealment rigs. It's called the Bounty, as in the Hunter Constantine bounty that essentially inspired their creation. But if you're looking to do it, these are definitely worth picking up. And if you have any questions on them, leave them down below. I try to watch the comments here for the first few days. And yeah, that's all we have for now. But that's the Bounty rig. If you're thinking about picking one of those up, I would highly recommend it. And we'll get back at you with some more Appendix talk here in the coming days. Next week is PCSL Nationals, where I'm going to shoot belt. And we'll probably have more to say about concealed competition after that. Until then, we'll see y'all on the range.